The Sufi Message of Hazrat Inayat Khan, Volume 2, The Mysticism of Sound, Centennial Edition. Form. The light from which all life comes exists in three aspects, namely, the aspect which manifests as intelligence, the light of abstract, and the light of the sun. The activity of this one light functions in three different aspects. The first aspect is caused by a slow and solemn activity in the eternal consciousness, which may be called consciousness or intelligence. It is intelligence when there is nothing before it to be conscious of, and when there is something intelligible before it, the same intelligence becomes consciousness. A normal activity in the light of intelligence causes the light of the abstract, at the time when the abstract sound turns into light. This light becomes a torch for the seer who is journeying towards the eternal goal. The same light, in its intense activity, appears as the sun. No person would readily believe that the intelligence, abstract light, and the sun are one and the same. Yet language cannot contradict itself, and all three have always been called by the name of light. These three aspects of the one light are the idea that lies behind the doctrine of the Trinity, and that of Trimurti, which existed thousands of years before Christianity among the Hindus, and which denotes the three aspects of the one. The one being three. Substance commences to develop from an atom to radium, but before this exists as a vibration. What we see, we accept as something existent, and what we cannot see does not exist for us. All that we perceive, see, and feel is matter, and that which is the source and cause of all is spirit. The philosophy of form may be understood by the study of the process through which the life unseen manifests into the seen. As the fine waves of vibration produce sound, so the gross waves produce light. This is the manner in which the unseen, incomprehensible, and imperceptible life becomes gradually known, by first becoming audible and then visible, and this is the origin and only source of all form. The sun, therefore, is the first form seen by the eyes, and is the origin and source of all forms in the objective world. And as such, it has been worshipped by the ancients as God. And we can trace the origin of all religions in that mother religion. We may trace this philosophy in the words of Shamsi Tabriz. When the sun showed its face, then appeared the faces and forms of all worlds. Its beauty showed their beauty. In its brightness they shone out. So by its rays we saw and knew and named them. All the myriad colors in the universe are but the different grades and shades of light. The Creator of all elements, which has decorated the heavens so beautifully with sun, moon, planets, and stars, which has made the land and water, with all of the beauties of the lower spheres, in some parts dull, and in some parts bright, which humans have named light and shade. The sun, moon, planets, and stars, the brilliance of electricity, the lesser light of gas, lamp, candle, coal, and wood, all show the sun reappearing in different forms. The sun, is reflected in all things, be they dull pebbles or sparkling diamonds, and their radiance is according to their capability of reflection. This shows that light is the one and only source, and is the cause of the whole creation. God is the light of the heavens and the earth, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. All forms, in whatever plane they exist, are molded under the law of affinity. Every atom attracts towards itself the atom of its own element. Every positive atom attracts the negative atom of its own element, and the negative attracts the positive. Yet each attraction is different and distinct. These atoms group together and make a form. The atoms of the abstract plane group together and make forms of light and color. These and all different forms of finer forces of life are seen by the seer. Forms of the mental plane are composed of the atoms of that plane. They are seen by the mind's eye and are called imagination. In the physical plane, this process may be seen in a more concrete form. The mystic sees in the abstract plane one or other element predominating at a certain time, either ether, air, fire, water, or earth. Every element in the finer forces of life is rendered intelligible by the direction of its activity and color, and the various forms of light show its different rates of activity. As the feeling of humor develops into greater humor, and sadness into deeper sorrow, so it is with the imagination. Every pleasant thought develops pleasure and expands into still pleasanter thought, and every disagreeable imagination grows and becomes more intense. Again, on the physical plane, we not only see human beings dwelling together in cities and villages, but even beasts and birds living in flocks and herds. Coal is found in the coal mine, and gold in the gold mine. The forest contains thousands of trees, whereas the desert holds not a single one. All this proves the power of affinity, which collects and groups the atoms of like kind, and makes of them numerous forms, thereby creating an illusion before the eye of human beings, who thus forgot the one source in the manifestation of variety. The direction taken by every element to make a form depends upon the nature of its activity. For instance, an activity following a straight direction shows the earth element, a downward direction the water element, in an upward direction the fire element. The activity that moves in a zigzag direction shows the air element, and the form taken by ether is indistinct and misty. Therefore, the nature of all things is made plain to the seer by their form and shape, and from their color their element is known. Yellow being the color of earth, green of water, red of fire, blue of air, and gray of ether. The mingling of these elements produced mixed colors, which vary into innumerable shapes and tones, and the variety of color in nature bears evidence to the unlimited life behind it. Every activity of vibrations produces a certain sound, according to its dome of resonance, and according to the capacity of the mold, the form is shaped. This proves the idea of the ancient Hindu word Nada Brahma, which means sound, the creator god. By the law of construction and destruction, as well as by addition and reduction, the different forms in this objective world group together and change. A close study of the constant grouping and dispersing of the clouds will reveal many different forms within a few minutes. And this is a key to the same process which can be seen all through nature. The construction and destruction, addition and reduction in forms all take place under the influence of time and space. Each form is shaped and changed subject to this law. For the substance differs according to the length, breadth, depth, height, figure, and shape of the mold where the form is modeled. And the features are formed according to the impression pressed upon it. It takes time to make a young and tender leaf green, and again to change it from green to red and yellow. And it is space that makes of water either a ditch, well, pond, stream, river, or the ocean. The dissimilarity in the features of various races in different periods can be accounted for by the law of time and space, together with climatic and racial causes. The Afghans resemble the natives of the Punjab, and the Sinhalese the people of Madras. Arabs are similar in feature to the Persians, and the Chinese closely resemble the Japanese. Tibetans resemble the natives of Bhutan, and the Burmese closely resemble the Siamese. All this proves that the proximity of the land which they inhabited is largely the cause of likeness in feature. As wide as in the distance of space, so wide is the difference in features among people. The similarity in form of germs, worms, and insects is accounted for by the same reason. Twin-born children, as a rule, resemble each other more closely than other children. Form depends mostly upon reflection. It is the reflection of the sun in the moon that makes the moon appear round like the sun. All the lower creation evolves by the same law. Animals which begin to resemble humans are among those which are in the human surroundings and see humans daily. A person who has the care of animals begins to resemble them, and we see that the butler of a colonel has the bearing of a soldier, and a maid working in a nunnery in time becomes like a nun. As all things are subject to change, no one thing is the same as it was a moment before, although the change is not noticeable. Only a definite change is perceptible. In a flower, there is the change from bud to blossom, and in fruit, from unripe to the ripe state. Even stones change, and some among them have been known to become perceptibly altered, even in the course of 24 hours. Time has great influence upon all things and beings, as may be seen by the change from infancy to youth, and from middle age to old age. In Sanskrit, therefore, time is called kala, which means destruction. And no change is possible without destruction. In other words, destruction may be described as change. All things natural and artificial that we see today differ vastly in their form from what they were several thousand years ago. And not only can this be noticed in such things as fruit, flowers, birds, and animals, but also in the human race. For from time to time, the structure of human beings has undergone various changes. The human form is divided into two parts, each part having its special attributes. The head is the spiritual body, and the lower part the material body. Therefore, in comparison with the body, the head has far greater importance. Thereby, one individual is able to recognize another, as the head is the only distinctive part of a human being. The face is expressive of one's nature and condition in life, also of one's past, present, and future. When asked if the face would be burned in the fire of hell, the prophet made answer, "No, the face will not be burned, for Allah hath said, we have modeled humanity on our own image." The likeness between things and beings, as well as between beasts and birds, animals and humans, can tell us a great deal about the secret of their nature. The sciences of phrenology and physiology were discovered not only by examining the lives of people of various features, but chiefly by studying the similarity that exists between them and animals. For instance, a person having the features of a tiger will have a dominant nature, coupled with courage, anger, and cruelty. A person with a face resembling a horse is by nature subservient. A person with a face like a dog will have a pugnacious tendency, while a mouse-like face shows timidity. There are 4 sources from which the human face and form are derived, and these account for the changes which take place in them. They are the inherent attributes of one's soul, the influence of one's heritage, the impression of one's surroundings, and lastly, the impression of oneself and of one's thoughts and deeds, the clothes one wears, the food one eats, the air one breathes, and the way one lives. In the first of these sources, one is helpless, for one has no choice. It was not the desire of the tiger to be a tiger, neither did a monkey choose to be a monkey. And it was not the choice of the infant to be born a male or female. This proves that the first source of human form depends upon the inherent attributes brought by the soul. Words never can express adequately the wisdom of the Creator, who not only fashioned and formed the world, but to each being has given the form suited to that person's needs. The animals of the cold zones are provided with thick fur as a protection against the cold. To the beasts of the tropics, a suitable form is given. The birds of the sea have wings fit for the sea, and those of the earth are provided with wings suitable for the earth. Birds and animals have forms which accord with their habits and life. The form of a human being proclaims that person's grade of evolution, nature, past, and present, as well as the person's race, nation, and surroundings, character, and fate. In the second instance, human beings inherit beauty or its opposite from their ancestors. But in the third, their form depends upon how they build it. The build of their form depends upon the balance and regularity of their lives, and upon the impressions they receive from the world. For in accordance with the attitude they take towards life, their every thought and action adds, or takes away, or removes to another place the atoms of the body, thus forming the lines and muscles of form and feature. For instance, one's face speaks one's joy, sorrow, pleasure, displeasure, sincerity, insincerity, and all that is developed within. The muscles of one's head tell the phrenologist one's condition in life. There is a form in the thought and feelings which produced a beautiful or ugly effect. It is the nature of evolution for all beings, from the lowest to the highest stage of manifestation, to evolve by being connected with a more perfect form. Animals approaching humanity in their evolution resemble primitive humans, and animals in contact with human beings acquire in their form traces of human likeness. This may be understood by a close study of the features of people in the past, and of the improvement which has been made in them. The nature of creation is that it is progressing always towards beauty. God is beautiful and loves beauty. The nature of the body is to beautify itself. The nature of the mind is to have beautiful thoughts. The longing of the heart is for beautiful feelings. Therefore, an infant should grow more beautiful every day, and ignorance seeks to become intelligence. But the progress is in a contrary direction. It shows that the individual has lost the track of natural progress. There are two forms, the natural and the artificial, the latter being a copy of the former.